All right, on this episode of Bouncing Back, um, I am taking on a water fast. Um, I actually never told the story of when I did a water fast, which I'll do that in another video. But in this case, I recently broke my collarbone. It's all pretty swollen up, and I had arm sling and all that stuff that I'm not wearing at the moment. But yeah, so I was wearing that, and a broken toe, broken big left toe, and so that kind of threw off my plans as part of my process of wanting to in the spirit of bouncing back. Been in the process of rebuilding things in my life. As many people that have experienced major setbacks, gone through a divorce or major financial loss, major personal tragedy, things like that. Basically taking a big hit, and then now they're having to rebuild. In the case of this, like the show Bouncing Back. I was well on my way moving forward, and ended up got a motorcycle. And I guess I got a little too carried away, and I ended up laying it down and fell hard on my left side, and ended up, breaking my collarbone, and my big left toe. So that kind of threw off all my plans for, hitting my goals for the remainder of this month of how much income I was going to generate, because I was still doing handyman work, and then practicing doing martial arts work, and all that kind of stuff. And then so I was like, while I was lying there at the hospital, getting the x-rays and stuff, I was just like, and then them confirming what I was worried that it was true, that I actually did have these breaks. I was like, well, what can I do? Well, how can I make the best of this? And so I was like, well, I had been wanting to do a water fast. I've been talking about doing a water fast again for years. So I figured, well, you know what? Now is a better time than ever to do it, because I basically can't work very much at the moment. So this is a good reason for that. The other reason, from everything that I've learned about fasting, about how the body goes into a detox and a rebuilding mode, is that technically it should speed up the healing process too, because all those resources that are normally devoted to breaking down new foods are now being redirected to recycling and breaking down, and repairing damaged tissues in the body. So I just kind of put two and two together, and I was like, well, might as well do it. Instead of taking 4 to 6 weeks for these bones to heal, maybe I could fully heal in only 3 weeks, and so that's part of why I'm doing this. So it's a win-win, and also get me back on my, back to working again and back on track with my other things. But it will also give me a huge boost with my, body. And I've been overweight. And actually I started, as of today, this morning when I weighed myself, I was 208.7 pounds, which is, is less than I was actually expecting this morning. Because a couple days ago, I weighed myself and I was like 215. But I already knew, since that injury happened a few days ago, I already knew that this was what I was going to be doing. So in preparation for doing the full fast, I made a conscious decision to start tapering down how much I was eating, and as much as possible cut out eating sugary things, to at least give myself a few days of just kind of stepping it down before I completely jump off the cliff and go to 0 calories. So I think that definitely contributed to that, because I definitely dropped a few pounds just just in a few days of eating a lot less, just having a calorie restricted eating schedule for the last few days. But today, 208.7. Yeah, and I've got, I also measured my pH level, which actually the other day was a little bit higher. It was kind of pretty acidic, in the high fives, which is still pretty acidic. Today, fortunately, it was a little bit higher, 6.25, still on the acidic side. So that's another thing that was, a good thing that I'm experiencing this, because otherwise I wouldn't have checked into this. So yeah, those two things are really great. Yeah, and so I'll share with what, the water filter pitcher that I'm using to filter the water and to, give a little bit of a boost to the alkaline level. So, this process is also raising the alkaline levels in my system, decreasing inflammation. And, it's like, I have other concerns. Like, my dad died of dementia and stuff, and I'm like, man, I do not want to go out that way. So, this is also going to help combat those, issues with possibly having dementia later on in life, so that's another big plus. And I'm just going to drop a bunch of weight. I mean, like I said, I'm 208.7, my target weight is to get down to 180. And I think, if my plan is to do a 20-day water fast, give or take, something like that. My plan is to do at least 20, but, if day 20 comes and it turns out that, hey, things are actually, I'm still doing really great and on a roll, maybe I'll just let it keep going a little longer. But this time around, I'm going to supplement it with, some electrolyte supplements, of, sodium, potassium, magnesium, zinc, things like that I'm just going to add a little dropper, add a couple of those drops in some of the water that I'm drinking to just kind of make sure that I don't get too depleted in those areas, so that allows me to continue the fast. Again, there's have a whole story I'll tell about my fasting experience. So I'll share about how that went a little awry, and that maybe if I had those earlier, it wouldn't have turned out the way it did. So, yep. So that's what I'm doing. Also, I'm taking all the different measurements, water, the pH of the water I'm drinking. It's currently, last time I checked the pitcher, it was the water pitcher had created 8.84 pH, which is definitely, very much into the alkaline levels. It's not like super high, like well into the 9s and 10s and stuff, but 8.84 is definitely a very respectable number. The TDS, total dissolved solids, measured in parts per million, was 103, which is really good. And then the EC, the electrical conductivity, measured in at 206, which is also, really good for drinking water. And then those are all measurements that came out after I used the filtered water. Slept in quite a bit. I did have trouble going to sleep early. So yeah, that's one thing I definitely really want to change in this process of going through this fasting, is to actually get my sleeping into a normal state. More normal time. I got up at 10:30. I went to bed at, it was well after 1:30 in the morning, something like that. And, hit the snooze multiple times this morning. So I want to get to a more normal sleep schedule, but at the same time, I'm going to be a bit forgiving for myself as I'm going into this fast, because I have to just kind of let my body do whatever it wants to do. And if it wants to sleep more, then just allow it to sleep more. but don't push myself to stay up till 2 a.m. When I should, start making a habit of laying down by 11:30 at night. I should be laying in bed and getting in bed. So that's my thoughts on that. Overall, how I'm feeling right now, it's not too bad for the first day. I kind of finished off the last of the couple of things to eat last night, in preparation for just, keeping my side of the fridge empty. I've got a roommate, he's got some of his food, but it's like, okay, that's all of his stuff, so that's off limits. I just got my areas, and my areas are basically empty now. So, so I'm eliminating all my own temptations. So that's one thing. Eliminate all the temptations around you as much as possible, and make it easy to do the right thing. I'd say that's definitely good advice for doing a fast. What else? I've not, I definitely have some kind of little bit of a tingling slight tingling sensation in my gut, in my stomach and gut. A little bit of buzzy, ever so slightly buzzy, lightheaded kind of feeling that's going on right now. I can kind of feel my heartbeat a little more than usual. And of course, like, this is hurting, my shoulder's hurting, the right here, the collarbone's hurting, and my big toe is, as long as I don't touch it, it seems to be okay, but, it flames up a little bit here and there. There's definitely feelings of wasted time kind of sense still, but at the same time, I'm like, well, you know what? This is actually going to be a huge investment. So I just keep telling myself that this is going to be a big investment for the rest of the year. It's going to really set me up very strong, potentially strong, for the rest of the year, by doing this fast, and, really setting myself up to be way more healthy, clear-headed, free of addictions, free of different food addictions, because, it's great, like, resetting of the body. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And so my plan is to just kind of continue, each of these days and work on doing research and planning out how I'm going to be operating post-fast, what I'm going to be, what foods I'm going to be eating, what foods am I not going to be eating. There's definitely some books, some things that I'm going to be reading through that, I'll share as I go through this journey, about what I discover, so that when I do come off the fast, I'll say, hey, this is what I'm doing post-fast, to, one, come off the fast in the best way possible, come off the fast the best way as possible, and then, two, have a sustainable diet and eating schedule. I definitely see that the benefits of doing the fasting is it's really good to just keep that up, and make it a more regular routine, a ritual, scheduled type of thing. So I definitely believe that I would like to take on making it an annual habit to do a longer term fast, and then, do like a little short fast once a month of a couple of days, and then just have regular daily intermittent fasting, where it's, 9 hours, where I do all my eating within a 9-hour window. And then that's what I've read recently, that was one of the best, most optimal amounts, was about 9 hours or less of the eating window. So that's also one of my plans, is to take that on, eat 9 hours, only eat within a 9-hour window, but then within that 9-hour window, like what I'm eating. Also, I want to make some changes because I've definitely been learning a lot more about certain foods that are even some foods that were even today are considered healthy foods are actually have potentially detrimental effects on us, and that they're actually not so healthy, or in the way it's prepared determines whether or not it's healthy or not. And a lot of people aren't aware of that, and so I'm just becoming aware of more of these things. So that's another thing that I'm gonna, put together a game plan of foods I'm eating, foods I'm not gonna be eating, foods that, occasionally eat, and then the ones that are just like, they're just on my do not ever eat list because it's just not worth the introduction of inflammation and long-term health effects. So, because my plan ultimately, the truth is, I don't really share this with much people, but my plan is to ultimately try to live as indefinitely as possible, because I really believe in technology, and I really believe that all the singularity and all that kind of stuff they talk about, that we're going to be entering into a new age of radical life extension, but it's going to take a few more decades to get there. But it's exponentially increasing. So the key is stay healthy long enough so that you can live forever, basically. But in all likelihood, the really advanced stuff that's actually going to really start making radical advances, is probably not going to show up until the 2040s or something, and we're only going into 2020 right now. So that's another 20 years from now. So the next best thing to do is do everything in your power to make yourself as healthy as possible and take on, all the different lifestyle changes that will allow for as much anti-aging and, and age reversal processes to occur in your body as possible, to set you up so that you'll be able to take full advantage of these radical new technologies, like the genetic engineering that they're quickly developing, and then nanotechnology and other Neuralink implants and all that kind of stuff that are going to completely change what it means to be a human being. So I'm really looking forward to all of that stuff. Because honestly, I think dying is kind of sucks, for so many people, especially the most brilliant ones. Like, that's like the biggest tragedy, to have those brilliant minds to be taken, and to have that intellect and that knowledge and that wisdom to be lost is tragic. And so I think the sooner we can overcome death like that, the better. So that's my that's my opinion. That's my philosophy. I know a lot of people really attached to dying and stuff, but I think it's just, you're just attached to it because up until now that's the only option. So, anyways, okay, went off on a tangent. But anyways, this is about fasting. So this is day 1. Feeling optimistic, feeling not too hungry. And also, I think this fasting is definitely, it creates a very emotional, spiritual opening, creates a conduit to allow a lot of more feelings and emotions and, intuition and things like that to kind of channel through. So that's also, I'm going to use this opportunity during this fasting period to really dive deep into all of my, childhood stuff, things that self-sabotaging behaviors, and use this opportunity to really get in touch with my sadness, the grief and sadness, Yeah. So, and to mourn some things that I think I've been out of touch with, been disassociated, very disassociated with my body, been very much using my fantasizing of in my mind to just escape feeling the feelings. And I think that was just a habit that I learned from childhood. When it made more sense back then to escape those feelings, because those feelings were, I guess they had potentially more devastating consequences to like really fall into all of that. And, or at least that was my interpretation, relationship with my mom and, and my brothers and all that kind of stuff, my dad. And it was just, yeah. So I'll get more into that in the coming entries here. But I think that's good for now. Yeah. So, yep. So it's currently Saturday, December 28th. I know it's not a Saturday, it's not a Monday, it's not the beginning of the month, it's not yet quite the end of the month. But my injuries couldn't wait, so I just decided to just go for it and let the chips fall where they may. All right, till tomorrow. Bye.